Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Mary. I am a homeschooling mama to a kindergartner and a second grader, 5 and 7 years of age. This is our second year homeschooling, and I feel like I have finally figured out how to let go of using a curriculum as it is and use it how it works best for our family. Now, if you have been homeschooling a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're brand new to homeschooling, that means that I had a really hard time last year saying, okay, I can let go of this piece of this curriculum because it's not working for our family, and be okay if we skipped something one week. I had a really hard time with that. I was like, oh my gosh, we have to do this exactly as it's written. I am very type A. I am very organized, and missing something crushed my soul just a little bit every time I did it, until I realized that I had to let that go, because there is no one curriculum that is written for you that is perfect as it is written for your family. And now, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I love splicing up curriculums and chopping them up and using bits and pieces from here and there and molding them into this curriculum that works really well for our family. And I feel like we finally really hit our stride. And one of those curriculums that I use a lot of is Ambleside Online, and we'll be using even more so starting next year. So I get a lot of questions about Ambleside Online, how I utilize it, how I break out the schedule and things like that. And I've shared quite a bit about it. I think I have created a playlist. I think I have. If I have, I'll link it up here for you guys. Go check that out first. That might be a little bit more helpful before I dive into what I'm going to talk about in this video. But basically, I'm going to share with you guys how I make it my own, because I know a lot of people like bits and pieces of the Ambleside Online curriculum, but maybe some don't work for them. So they're like, well, I'm just not going to do any of it. I promise you it's a lot easier to pull out what you need from Ambleside Online than you think. And I also really like the way that they organize and break out their curriculum into these gridded term sheets. So you just basically have one sheet back and front for each 12-week term, so 36 weeks overall, that you can see everything you're doing each week, and it just makes so much sense. And so I actually went ahead and used their free schedules that you can edit, and I put in other curriculum that we're using that isn't Ambleside into that, so I have it all in one spot, and it just makes my life so much easier when I'm planning week to week. So I just went ahead and grabbed my resource binder that I have for myself, and I'm gonna go ahead and share with you what one of those term sheets looks like for us. Pull it right out of the binder for you. So this is the term that we're in. So as you can see, there's some highlighting done because this is what we've already completed or I've already scheduled in our planner. I have a video all about that. I'll link that up above, how I plan on a weekly basis. Go check that out if that's something you're interested in learning about. But there's a lot on here that is Ambleside Online year one, and there is a lot that is not. There's Blossom and Root. There is Build Your Library Level 0 that we're doing, an around the world study. There's math that isn't obviously included in Ambleside Online. So here's the back of it, that has our daily subjects and our weekly subjects. My dog might come over here, be prepared. So what I want to do is I'm going to flip this camera around, and we're going to take a look at my computer. I'm going to show you how, I get this document off of Ambleside Online. I did a whole how to navigate amblesideonline.com. I'll link that up above if you want to go check that out. This is strictly going to be how I schedule them, but I also incorporate other bits and pieces from other curriculum on my computer. That's what I'm going to show you today. Sorry, that was a really rambly way of getting around to what we're talking about today. So hopefully if you're still here, thanks for hanging around. So I'm gonna stop rambling, and we are gonna flip this camera around, and I'm gonna show you my computer now. All right, so first we're gonna start off on the Ambleside Online website. I'm gonna use this year's schedule as an example. Originally, when I came to the Ambleside Online website, I had already pretty much figured out the majority of our curriculum for this year. So I wanted to pull some bits and pieces from Ambleside Online to try out and trial this year. And if we liked it, then we would continue using Ambleside Online more as our main curriculum and adding things to it for the following years. So my daughters are 5 years old and 7 years old, just turned, both of them summer babies. And so they correlate to kindergarten and second grade roughly. Now, Ambleside Online and Charlotte Mason herself, they will tell you, don't start doing organized curriculum, structured curriculum with your child until they're at least 6 years old. AKA don't start year one with Ambleside until your child's at least 6 years of age. Now they do have a year zero, so to speak, that they consider like their kindergarten level, but it's not really a curriculum. It's a few books that they recommend to read. It's not very strict, and it's just to give you something to do with your child, to get them kind of used to reading books so that they're ready for year one if you want to. It's completely optional. What I decided to do was look at the year that was between my two girls. So my seventh grader right now, she was doing Ambleside Online strictly as it is written. She would be in year two, and my youngest would be doing that book list for those kindergartners. So year one is smack dab in the middle of them, and I thought it would be a good year to pull some literature books from and the riches, etc. So let's click into there. Now, I'm not going to go into depth about the website. I have a whole video on that I mentioned earlier, and I'll put it down in the description also if you want to check that out. But going to year one over here, we're going to click on year one schedule, and that takes us to this website. So here is that, as you can probably see, this little icon is that schedule, and it breaks it out into term 1, 2, and 3. Now there's different formats you can download it in. If you are doing Ambleside Online as it is written with no changes, you can click that PDF version, download it, and print it off, and you are good to go. Now, since I am not doing it as written completely, I'm going to download the doc file so that I can edit it. So let's do that really quickly. All right, let's pull that up. Okay, it's popped up on my other screen, so let me pull it over to you guys here on this screen. Okay guys, so here is what the file looks like in itself. I'm going to scroll down without trying to give anybody motion sickness to show you what it looks like in its own form without changing anything. So here you'll see we have year 1, term 1, weeks 1 through 12. You have the subjects going down the left side, and then you have your weeks going across. Now they run a 36-week year, so 12 weeks per term. And what they do is they, at a high level, tell you the readings and everything that you're going to be doing that week for which books. And then this should theoretically fit on one page, and then on the back would be this, so that you have a one-page term sheet like I showed you before we hopped into the computer. So the back side of the sheet, and we'll get rid of all that space up there so that it does fit. But you'll see you have your daily work. They leave this open here for you to put in anything that you would like to put in. If you have specific curriculum you're doing, anything like that, they leave it blank for you to add. Same down here for your weekly work: art, artist study, timeline, handicrafts, nature study, composer, etc. And then it also lists the free reads for year 1, just so you remember, hey, if, here's a list of books that you can read if you have free time. We use our free reads a little differently. I do schedule them into our calendar, but they leave here the list for you so that it jogs your memory. If you're like, hey, I want to read something, let's go look at the free read list and see what we can pick up and start reading today. And then again, this is just formatting. This would all go away. I delete this when I format it. We go to year 1, term 2. So we have week 13 through week 24, all these books. And then here's the back side of that one. And then again, term 3. All right, let's scroll all the way up so I can show you how I make this work for us in our curriculum and how we splice a bunch of curriculums together. So the first thing I do, I just think it's the easiest, is to remove anything we know we're not going to use, which is quite a bit of year 1 because, again, like I said, we added this on after we had already established the curriculum we wanted to use for the year, and we were just pulling bits and pieces from year 1 to trial test it this year to see if we wanted to make it more of our main curriculum for the following years. So we are a secular family. So for us, The first things that we can take off easily is Bible. So I delete those out, and I would do this for each term. So right now I'm just going to work with term 1 with y'all just for the sake of time. We were originally doing American Girl US history, but it ended up just being too much curriculum for us to handle, especially for a 5 and a 7-year-old. So we ended up cutting history altogether. We are going to do a 6-week prehistory unit study at the end of this year to kind of set us up for success and roll into ancients next year. But realistically, we're not doing any history this year. So I went ahead and deleted all of the history and tales from here. We did not do Burgess Bird. It just, again, we had too much on our plate. I kind of wish we had actually added it back in. I might add it in for next year because we are going to do his animal book. But we did not do Burgess Bird here, so let me delete that row. We are doing Paddle to the Sea. We decided to cut James Herriot's. Delete that. We are doing Aesop's Fable. Parables of Nature, we did not do again because we are secular and that's, I think, more religious focused. We cut Just So stories just for the sake of we were doing a lot of literature, so I just went ahead and cut that. We did the Blue Fairy book. We are doing Shakespeare, and we are doing poetry, but we are doing Build Your Library level 0's poetry, so we can keep that in there, and then I would update every week with the poetry we are going to do. Now let me take you into our actual term that I've created so you can see what then I added back into this document. So we've taken away, and then what I started doing was adding rows and adding in our other curriculum we are doing. You see how it's just so easy to customize. You keep what you want, and then you add back in the other things you're using for your other curriculum. So let me pull that in. So here is the fully edited version that you saw me holding up that I have in my binder as we were seeing earlier in my video. So I kept this all the same. I decided to add dates once I solidified when we were starting. I added dates here just for reference when I'm looking at this as a once-over. I added in our geography, which is Build Your Library, which is our main curriculum this year. It's an around the world study if you're not familiar with it. I've talked a lot about it in a lot of my videos, and I'm doing reviews on it, videos throughout the year. So if you're interested in checking that out, hit the subscribe button, stick around, you'll see a lot on that. And as we talked about earlier, I kept Paddle to the Sea in here. So you'll see here I have Wild Animal Atlas. I pulled that, actually, that's a book that we're doing for Geography Build Your Library. I pulled it out separately and gave it its own line item so I could put the pages in there because I put it under natural history. We are doing an animal study for each continent that we're learning about. So we read pages about different animals each week, and then once we're done with the continent, we will complete an animal profile. It's just a very early, gentle introduction to research papers for kiddos, really, is what it's doing. But also so that they learn about different habitats and the different animals that live in different areas on the planet. Next, I put in a line for our science, which is Blossom and Root, My Great Space Adventure, and I just plugged in what each week lesson was about the topic. And then under Literature and Tales, again, we kept Aesop's Fables, Blue Fairy, Shakespeare. I did add in, like I mentioned earlier about the free reads, I did go ahead and schedule these out. And so basically we're doing roughly about one free read every month. Next, I decided to bring in some kind of morals, and Aesop's Fable, of course, is talking about morals, but I wanted to bring in an additional resource, so I got these character cards off of September & Co. on Etsy. So we're doing either 1 to 2 character traits we're talking about in our morning time every week. So I just added in which character trait we would be talking about that week. And then you see here that Nat Geo animal poetry from Build Your Library. I put that in there. And the way we do poetry is we actually don't do it every day. What we do instead is we do poetry tea time. Thursday afternoons mostly is when it ends up being scheduled. And we read that poetry. And then that maybe lasts us about 5-10 minutes. And we're still sipping our tea or our hot chocolate. And then we'll maybe move into our free read, or we have a book that we read for book club. We do a lot of reading, if you can't tell, in our household. And then something that we have under here is original notes that were listed in the original document for Shakespeare. I added one here that says it's for Build Your Library 0. Up here you see the 2 asterisks. You come down here, add in torchlight spines if time or interest allows. That's just a reminder to me, if we have the time during the week, we have the spines from Torchlight Level 0, which is also an around the world study, and they've got some really good books from that curriculum. We can add in some additional resources and books from that curriculum if we have the time. And then if you scroll down here, I've added in additional information. So it's pretty simple because we do math 4 times a week. So I just kept it simple there. Math with confidence for my youngest, Charlotte. She's about to go into the 1st grade. Math with confidence. And then my youngest, I do need to update this. We switched from math with confidence. When she finished 1st grade, she decided to switch over to math mammoth, grade 2. But roughly that's just saying, hey, do it 4 times a week, schedule it as it makes sense. Same with handwriting. Our reading and writing, we do McGuffey readers, we do Ordinary Parent Guide to Teaching Reading, and then my youngest does the Explode the Code workbooks. She really enjoys those and uses Elemental Phonics as like warm up and just, extra practice. And then we have grammar and spelling. I changed this a little bit because Charlotte Mason doesn't recommend doing grammar before, I think it's 4th grade. We do first language lessons through the Well-Trained Mind. It's super gentle and it's only 5-10-minute lessons at most, and my oldest loves doing them, so it seems silly not to do it. She knows what a noun is right now, so we're doing really good. And then she also does 1 lesson from All About Spelling Level 2 every week. And then we have our foreign language, which is through Homeschool Languages. We've got physical activity. Both my girls do soccer, and we have a Ninja Warrior gym around the corner from us. They love doing that. And then I just added in my own bits here. So art, I pulled from Build Your Library Level 0 curriculum, and it's paper crafts from each of the countries that we're learning about. So I added in those for the book that we're using. Artist, Study, and Composer is from Ambleside Online's rotation, so I just added those in. I picked 1 handicraft per term. Our first term's handicraft is hand crocheting, so I just wrote that there. Nature study is just nature walks in a journal entry if we can fit it into our schedule. I don't get super intense about making sure we do this every week, but so far we've done it probably on average every other week. And then cooking actually is a separate thing that's not Ambleside Online, that comes from the Build Your Library curriculum. We generally have a cooking recipe from the book that we're using for our spine for each week that we learn about it from a different country. So we're trying all these new things from different countries without even having to travel to them. And then the folk song is from Ambleside Online's rotation, so I just added those in. It's 1 per month, and we kind of listen to it twice a week when we have time. And then any language arts extras we had. My oldest is doing a computer unit study that we're doing, just to kind of introduce her to computer safety, what's a mouse cursor, what's a modem, things like that. And then here was the section that originally showed the free reads that are available for year 1. I took the opportunity to edit that and change it into what is our morning time? What do we do during our morning time? So date and weather, obviously, go over that daily. Character cards are talked about then. Aesop's Fables, Shakespeare, Paddle to the Sea, Blue Fairy, and free reads. And then on top of that, during our morning time, we also add in any of the riches from Ambleside Online. And then it's the same as I come down here, all the same, just obviously different weeks. And then I bring it down again to term 3. I just wanted to show you that something is a little different. So, actually, you know what? That's a typo. That should say history. Well, I'm glad I'm editing this with you guys. So, starting in week 31, week 30 is when Build Your Library 0 curriculum will be over. It's only a 30-week curriculum because it's considered a kindergarten level curriculum. So she wanted it to be a little shorter than the rest of her levels, to be a little bit more gentle for, 5-year-olds. Well, we still like to run a 36-week year. So what I did was I thought it was the opportune time to then start doing Build Your Library's 6-week prehistory unit study, so that when we roll into the summer, we'll take a little break. And then the following year, my daughters will be in 1st and 3rd grade, and we will start our ancient history rotation. We're going to use Story of the World, Volume 1, as our main spine. And then the rest of it, we're pulling from Ambleside Online and other resources for history. Build Your Library, level 1, we're going to be pulling some books from there. So again, we like to splice and dice, but using this format really helps me keep it all together. So I hope that makes sense, and it gives you a little bit more information. I get questions about this little document a lot as I've been showing it more in my videos recently. I definitely get at least one question about it, I feel like, for every video I show it in. So hopefully this answered quite a few of y'all's questions if you had them. Okay, guys, I hope that was super helpful to you. Again, I get asked a lot about how I organize all this and how basically I pull the bits and pieces from Ambleside that I want and then incorporate others. So hence why I thought this would be a good idea to create this video. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions about anything that I mentioned in here, definitely leave those down in the comments. I'm always happy to answer y'all's questions down there. If you are new here, definitely hit that subscribe button. We do all things homeschooling over here. I would like to start adding more into my channel about like my health and wellness stuff and my mom life stuff. So if there's anything that you specifically want to know about that I haven't done a video on, leave that down below. But yeah, if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really does help others and me know that you like it and that it's a good video, and maybe they would get some information out of it too. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.